now that we got the really aesthetic intro out of the way, I can actually move stuff to where it belongs and I can have some arm room. Great. So basically the other day I was working on this drawing because I really wanted to practice colored pencils. It's a medium that I'm not really that good at. But as you can see, the paper is very warped. And that's because I spilled some soda on it, like the smooth brain that I am. There's really no recovering from that sugary disaster because even if I tried to dry it, it would just have a sugary residue. So I decided, why not replicate the same drawing in a medium that I'm less experienced at? So I decided to paint it. Just started with a regular old sketch with a graphite pencil, which probably wasn't the best idea, but you can't really tell in the long run. Really wasn't that difficult. I mean, I had already sketched this on paper, so I figured, how hard could it be? It's a lot different sketching on canvas with graphite than sketching on paper with graphite. It's not as smooth and you can't have as many details. Here's where I thought that I could be like one of those aesthetic paint mixing people, but yeah, I don't know who I was trying to kid that I could be this. I mean, look at those colors, look at that smoothness. Yeah, I really don't know who I was trying to impress, but clearly I did not impress myself. So, and here's where I realized that graphite on paint was probably not the best idea because it's smudged. I used that pale yellow as a base color because I had seen some people paint, and they added like some base color that was like very different. I knew that the painting was overall going to be very blue, so I used the pale yellow to really do that contrasting, hoping that at the end the pale yellow would kind of peek through in some bits and really add some contrast and make the painting interesting. But I don't think it actually worked. Started working on the teacup, and honestly I was very impressed. I really don't have much paint experience, but I thought that was really cool that I could actually add some depth and it looked like something. But when I started on the butterfly, everything just went downhill. I used this mixed this weird gray-blue color for the black because I knew like using straight black was probably not the best idea. But then I tried to smudge it into the wing and it didn't work. It just muted the blue that I had already created. And then I tried to add this green bit that I had seen in the original reference that I used, and it just wasn't working. Like, none of the colors were blending together or they didn't balance. It was just horrifying, and I kept trying to mix different colors, adding gray, adding blue. I think I added some white at some point, and it just, I don't know. So I just restarted and as I let the paint dry over the butterfly, I started working on the teacup, because if I didn't work on something, I would literally lose my mind. This is where I started gaining back my confidence, because I mixed some like purple color, and I really liked that it could add that stark difference to the overall blue color of the teacup. Added some nice shading to it and whatnot. But then I really messed up when I decided to add it to the whole teacup as a pop of color, which really just covered up everything that I had worked hard on, and I got really frustrated. So I started working on the butterfly again. Started sketching with paint, which is probably what I should have done first instead of sketching with graphite. And then I don't know why I added red to my blue mix, and it made the butterfly purple, which is not what I wanted. The butterfly was blue, and I was really discouraged again, so I started working on the background, hoping that if I could clean up some of the outer edges of the butterfly and the teacup, it would look somewhat nice. But I just gave up for the night. I just didn't want to look at the painting ever again after this, so I took a bit of a break, and by a bit of a break I mean over 24 hours. It was the next day around 11:30 p.m. and I busted out some oil paints, which is when I discovered the wondrous color of phthalo blue, which really saved the day. Had a hard time blending the color, so I really just went in full kindergarten, started smudging it with my finger, and then I used my hand as a palette, as if I didn't have a perfectly fine dollar store plate that I was using as a palette. I really shouldn't have done this. This could be very toxic. Don't ever use your hand as a palette, paint can lead to toxic chemical burns, but it didn't. So I started adding the phthalo blue colors to the teacup, adding some really nice details, shading and whatnot. I even added some highlight to the tea inside of it, and I was really getting back my confidence. The background looked very like plain and boring, so I just started smudging some colors on it, hoping to add some texture, which at the beginning I was kind of regretting, but in the long run I really am glad that I did that. Now all that was left was to let it dry, which if you know anything about oil paint, it will take a full 24 hours to dry. I'm very happy with how it turned out. I did not expect to be proud of the painting that I made. I just kind of went for it because I was bored one day, and I'm proud enough to say that I will be gifting this to my grandmother, who's been asking me to make her some sort of art with that image on it. If there's anything I can say is, if you want to create, just go for it.